entering fantasy basketball drafts this season. Here's a few sleepers I have at the center position. The first guy is Steven Adams of the Memphis Grizzlies. So last season, Steven Adams, for whatever reason, he just didn't fit in with the New Orleans Pelicans. And that has to do with him not being a jump shooter, him not being used to a run and gun offense in his latter age. Obviously, he played with Harden, Durant, and Westbrook in their younger days when they were running and gunning. But last season, Zion Williamson took a lot of those low post points and obviously a lot of rebounds as well from Adams. So last year, 7.6 points a game, 8.9 rebounds, 1.9 assists, and 61% from the field. But this season, I think he's going to fit well with this Memphis Grizzlies team. And I think he could average a double-double on this roster. There's no competition there. They don't really have another dominant big down there that can rebound with him. And he got traded for Jonas Valanciunas. So this season, I think Steven Adams is a sleeper. And right now, he's going in the last round of fantasy drafts or undrafted. But we know what he's capable of. And last year was just a bad fit with New Orleans. And this year, it's a better fit with Memphis, in my opinion. And he has a bounce-back season. The next sleeper is Robert Williams of the Boston Celtics. So right here, Robert Williams was very solid last season in limited playing time, 8 points a game, 6.9 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 1.8 blocks a game, and a whopping 72% from the field. So this guy's a defensive specialist and rebound specialist for fantasy basketball, and a guy who's going to put a lot of garbage putbacks, dunks, and layups into the hoop. And I know they got Enes Kanter back this offseason, is the Boston Celtics, but they also traded Tristan Thompson away, which is a good sign to open the way here, in my opinion, for Robert Williams. And right now, he's going early in fantasy drafts, but I still consider him as a sleeper because I think in a lot of fantasy drafts, people are going to pass him up because his numbers don't really pop off the charts like they should for a guy going in the third or fifth round. But all the small intangibles and defensive things here, Robert Williams does, and he's definitely a sleeper this season. The next sleeper is Kelly Olynyk of the Detroit Pistons. So Kelly Olynyk, we know from his Miami Heat days and his last season with the Houston Rockets, this guy will score the basketball. And this season, Dwayne Casey's saying he's going to use Olynyk high usage. And last year, 13.5 points a game for Olynyk between Miami and Houston. 7 rebounds, 2.9 assists, 1.1 steals, 2.1 threes a game, and 48% from the field. So he's a stretch 4, stretch 5 in fantasy basketball with Olynyk. And right here, the Pistons, they traded Mason Plumlee away. He should be the starter over there at center is Olynyk. And he's a guy that could score the basketball, he could rebound, and he could hit threes. So right here in the 10th to 11th round where he's going ADP, I think it's a decent pickup that late in the draft for a guy who's going to probably play 30, 35 minutes and score the basketball and help fantasy owners. And he's definitely a sleeper and a guy people aren't thinking about. The next sleeper is Dwight Howard of the Los Angeles Lakers. So Howard won a championship with the Lakers 2 seasons ago. Then he left in free agency and went to the Philadelphia 76ers. And now he's back with Los Angeles and most likely will be the starter, him with DeAndre Jordan, in my opinion, at center. So Dwight Howard, right now, he's going in the later rounds or undrafted in fantasy basketball drafts. Last year with Philly, 7 points a game, 8.4 rebounds, a block a game, and 58% from the field. So right here, he fits in well with the Laker team. He was a big part of that championship team, in my opinion. And right here, he's going to start or even play 25, 30 minutes possibly. This guy still could put up numbers. They're not going to ask a lot from him, obviously, with Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook as the 3 top guys over there in LA. But he's a good complementary player and a guy who could still contribute and put up numbers for fantasy basketball. And the 5th and final sleeper I have this season at the Ring Fantasy Drafts at center is Enes Kanter, who's back with the Boston Celtics, like I mentioned early in the video. So Kanter, he's going undrafted or in the later rounds of fantasy leagues. And last year with Portland, 11.2 points a game, 11 rebounds, 1.2 assists, and 60% from the field. So right here, a lot of people, they just don't like Enes Kanter, and this is why he's bounced around the league a lot throughout his NBA career. But this guy, he's got a knack for rebounding. He's got a little baby jumper that he can hit, and he's an efficient field goal shooter. So right here, Enes Kanter, he's still going to play 20 to 25 minutes a game, him and Robert Williams at the center position for this Boston Celtic team, but he's a guy that's underappreciated, and he's better fantasy basketball wise than obviously real NBA wise. So right here, Rennis Cantor, he's a definite steal in my opinion, and a sleeper in the later round. So that's a few centers I have as sleepers entering the fantasy drafts and the NBA season.